aligning the employees to the purpose of the organization, aligning employees to what the company is, and aligning employees what the customer expects. Now they're inspired, they're part of the company. They're not working for the company anymore. They now become part. Here's the fascinating thing. I may have mentioned it last time, and because it fascinates me, Aristotle established that human beings need belonging and purpose. So why wouldn't I give that to my human beings that work with me, if at the same time, by giving them that, they will be more connected and do a better job, and I'm giving them in return belonging and purpose.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow? Stepping into your role as the visionary leader of your business is going to take a lot of effort, but it's got to be done with intention. It's really necessary because when you're not doing the visionary work and when you're not looking at the future, looking at the trends, looking beyond where you are today, you'll probably figure out that no one else is doing it for you, because everyone else has got their own teams, got their own little processes that they're managing, and they are doing the work. Your job as a CEO is to be able to take the time to lift your head up and look around, see what's coming around the corner, look at the competition, look at the trends, look at the macro elements of your business. You can, of course, include your team in some of these things. You can get their insight, you can get data, but your job is to create the space and the time and that energy to be the visionary leader that your company deserves. One of the things I've seen interviewing so many founders and CEOs, that this is a struggle. This is something that they want to do a better job with. They want to get out of so many day-to-day meetings, and they want to become true visionaries so that you can understand what the way they see the world, why it's so important, and some of the key elements that will help you be the visionary that you really want to be. Today we have the co-founder of Ritz-Carlton, the brand that you probably love so much. He's also the founder of Capella Hotel Group, and their award-winning hotel, fantastic brand. And then also he is the author of this book, Excellence Wins. And I just happen to have it here because I was reading it over vacation. Horst has been on the show before, but why this interview is different is because we really look at visionary leadership. We look at why it's so important and why you are the one to lead the charge on this, to look at those trends and to be able to see the future that no one else can see. This is the beautiful thing about you as an entrepreneur. The reason why your company is today is you saw a future where your product or service fit in the market and you've built a team around that. Now is the time for you to step up to that next level and be the visionary leader. And that's what these interviews are all about. One of the things I love about this, he says in here, is excellence is never an accident. Think about that for a second. Excellence is never an accident. It's a great intention around how you as a leader are to inspire your people to take ownership of their work, the client experience, but also of the entire culture as they move forward. Your job as a leader is to bring all this together. And the vision that you create is so critically important to the success of your business. It's also about the lifestyle you're going to live. Are you going to work yourself to death? Well, we've done a lot of series around time, but this one is around visionary leadership. So tune in today with Horst Schulze. He's going to rock you and knock your socks off all at the same time inside this one episode. Without further ado, here is Horst. Horst, how are you?
I'm very fine. Nice to see you. Nice to be with you.
Well, we're here again on Grow Think Tank. You've been here before, so I appreciate you coming back.
Great to be back with you. Yeah, I enjoyed being with you last time.
We are going to talk about a very big topic. And I know you've been through this yourself as you've grown. You've probably even led others and coached other CEOs through the aspects of becoming a visionary leader. And I want to go ahead and let you kind of give some context to your background. You started out as a dishwasher is that right, as a kid?
I was busboy in a hotel when I was 14. In fact, I left home and lived in a hotel about 100 kilometers away from my home and worked there as a busboy, yes.
And you probably held almost every role possibly inside of a hotel, from front desk and certainly had your eyes on what it takes to run a hotel, because being the co-founder of Ritz-Carlton is such a huge, big deal, but also the founder of the Capella Group, the Capella Hotel Group. You guys were recently awarded something, right?
Yeah, we were Capella. Of course, I sold the company a little bit over a year ago, but Capella was just voted best hotel in the world in Bali, and second best hotel company here in by local publication, and in Asia, best hotel company in the world. So best hotel company in the world and best hotel in the world. That's Capella, which I created, which I founded and created and by myself right after I left Ritz-Carlton. Yeah.
And I was on vacation and I got a chance to finish the book. I interviewed you before, but Excellence Wins, such a fantastic book. I want to encourage everyone to go read this. There's a lot of leadership inside here from the very heart of what it takes to run an excellent brand. And we're going to talk about some of the things that are in the book, but we're going to let you just kind of share your journey. Horst, one of the things that I get asked a lot is, how do I let go of the day-to-day, the work, the managing, even the metrics to a point, and start to become the visionary leader of the business? I know that's necessary and no one's doing it if I don't do it. How do I do that as a CEO of a company? So,
well, let me address that a little bit different. We're talking about like the book, Excellence Wins. Let's see, what is excellence? Excellence is never an accident. Let's understand that. It's never an accident. It's always the result of high intent and, of course, hard work. High intent, what's high intent? Well, the vision of the company. What is your high intent? That has to be clarified. And being a leader implies that you're leading somebody to a particular destination. What is that? Is that a destination of high intent? What's the vision? Now, and in fact, that vision, that high intent should become the purpose of the organization. So now, suddenly, you have purpose and not just function. You see, unfortunately, what we are making a serious mistake as leaders of organizations, managers of organization. We hire people to fulfill a certain function. The chair on which you're sitting is fulfilling a function. We hire human beings. As leaders, we hire people, we select people to become part of our purpose, which is the high intent we have as an organization. That's leadership. I mean, let me put it a totally different way. And this discussion, leadership and management, is always so confusing. It's very simple. If you pretend that on your left side over there are a lot of people, those are your potential customers and your customers, guests, patrons, whatever you call them. And on your right side, there are a lot of people too. Those are your employees. So how are you a good company? If you know what the people on your left, your customers, your potential customers expect from your product, if you understand that, and you make sure now that the people on your right, your employees, know what your customers expect, what your market expects from you. Now, this is alignment, not a buzzword in business. That's alignment. Now, management creates processes, systems, measurements, controls to make sure this happens, to make sure the delivery to the customer from the employee happens. Leadership creates an environment where the employees want to desire to do what the customer wants. Why do they desire that? Because then it knows it will bring you and fulfills the purpose of the organization which they have adopted as their own. Wow, that's a long speech, but that's leadership.
Now, a very simple version you put in here, I think it was chapter 9, I have it here, managers push and leaders inspire.
Yeah, right. That's how you inspire, by aligning the employees to the purpose of the organization, aligning employees to what the company is, and aligning employees what the customer expects. Now they're inspired, they're part of the company. They're not working for the company anymore. They now become part. Here's the fascinating thing. I may have mentioned it last time, and because it fascinates me, Aristotle established that human beings need belonging and purpose. So why wouldn't I give that to my human beings that work with me if at the same time, by giving them that, they will be more connected and do a better job, and I'm giving them in return belonging and purpose.
So I'm totally in alignment with what you're saying, and I see this a lot with leaders, but they can't let go of managing the work to become the leaders that the company needs.
Yeah, well, interesting. Stephen Covey, of course, made that very clear that that is very dangerous as a leader, because we do we love to put out the fires of the daily, the micro stuff that goes on daily around us. We love to put it out, and then we feel good. But as leaders, that doesn't mean we have accomplished anything for the future. We only have accomplished something for right now. That's the micromanaging that we all do. I do it, and everybody does it. It makes you feel good. And but as a leader, remember again, you're taking them to a destination. So what have you done to get you closer to that destination? What have you done to eliminate the when you take care of problems today? What have you done for the future so that the same problem never happens again? So as a leader, what you have to learn is what are the few essential things that you should know and manage and lead on. What are the few things? You have to question yourself. Get your key executive together and said, what give me one thing that is essential in this organization? And if each one give, then pick 5. I picked 5 when I ran Ritz-Carlton or Capella, when I built Capella. I want to know, number 1 for me, how many % of the customers want to return and want to recommend me. So I have measurements established, so I know every day, I know in every hotel, how many % of the customers want to come back or want to return. I have established baseline, and I made it very clear. If you go under that baseline, I will intercede with you. I will get involved. I will talk to you. And if you don't improve it, I'll improve it for you. Number 1, customer satisfaction. Number 2, employee satisfaction. I want to know that. I want to know it ongoing. What is going on? What's going with employees? Number 3, I want to know the economics of the day. What happened economically today? Next, I want to know what are my future indicators for business in the future. We have measurements on all those things. And then I had an extra one, which for us, that was general, and I want to have a future indicators of group business in the organization. Those were the 5 things I want to see. I want to have totally my arms around it because they indicated everything. But if I saw a hiccup in one of them, then I went and dug deeper and involved other people. If I see employee, the customer top box satisfaction got below 92%. 92% was the line. I wanted to be over 92%, but 92%, if it goes under, I get involved. Then I want to know from the regional vice president why. Dig into it, because our analysis should tell you why. So, but I didn't get involved in that. But I frankly, I made it very clear. If it stays in the 80s for 2 months, I will move into a hotel and run it myself until it's corrected. Now, nobody liked that threat. That was a threat. I did it sometimes, by the way. So yes, in that moment, there was an emergency, in my opinion, for me to get work at the micro. But otherwise, it's the macro as a leader. And constantly point to the future, constantly be involved, constantly be present to everybody. I consider myself, for the rest of it, I consider myself the support system for everybody else.
I want to ask you a question, Horst. Looking at the future, everyone's probably got their own style for it, but what was your way of truly taking time to think about what the future would be for the way your companies are run? Like, what's the future of hotels? Would you take time every day to do that? Would you take time during, big sections every week, or what would you do?
Well, that's another thing I looked at. We had ongoing, I mentioned the number one thing for me is customer satisfaction. So consequently, we had ongoing customer service going on. And so I looked out in the service for any kind of trends that I could establish. What are the trends that are coming? I was very careful not to respond to opinion of one, but be sure that I saw, there is a trend. I better be aware of that trend and see how we have to apply those trends. And so I constantly could see, and I could also see trends in generally how they developed. I try to see trends, if you will. And I for example, right now, it's very clear to me what will happen with the hotel business. I give that only as an example. You will see that the hotel business, all non-brands of hotels, will slowly become sleeping factories. Nothing, no, don't be insulted, anybody. It's, pretty soon, you make a reservation on this thing over here. You make a reservation on this thing, and then you check in on that with this thing here, and then you go to your elevator and it works, and then you go to your room, it works, and then you check out, it works, and you don't see a single person. With other words, you become a sleeping commodity. But that will bring, you see the trend. That's very clear. That trend was happening before COVID, but COVID accelerates it. I would have said in 10 years, that's where we are. Now I'm going to say in 3 years, that's where we are. Now, that though will bring, now you have a trend. Now, what will that impact? That will allow smaller hotels to come along and still offer hospitality. So I have to know this is happening. I have to know the trends is happening. And you get that, you can read customer comments, you see the industry saying, we can't find any help. It's very difficult to staff. It's very difficult. Well, put it together. That will create that trend. And that's what your leader will look at. Where is the industry going? Where is my business going? Where do I fit in? Where do I want to fit in?
I want to ask you, I get the fact that we should be looking for trends, but how did you do that? Did you schedule time, or did you just try to fit it around all your busy schedule?
Well, as I mentioned very early, I looked at customer studies where they are. I constantly look at customer study where it is and what is the percentages. So looking at the studies, it hits you. What 2, 3, 4 customers say that, then you know you have a trend. Once you know you have a trend, you follow that and look at it and analyze it a little bit deeper and say, what is the meaning of that once you see a trend? Once you get the same comment several times, better pay attention. If you get a major comment only once, don't pay attention. Don't pay attention. Dangerous to pay. Oh, it's very dangerous to, a friend tells you. That's a study of one. Don't respond to it unless you see it repeated and repeated and repeated. Then you go for it. Then you analyze it. Then you say, how does it impact me? How do I have to respond here? And so,
let me take a moment here to remind you that we have a channel on YouTube. If you want to be a better leader, if you want to be the visionary of your team, we put different aspects of trainings over there that you won't find on the podcast, you won't find anywhere else, but you have to go to YouTube and subscribe to make sure you don't miss anything. So go to genehammett.com/YouTube. Here's to you being an amazing leader. What are the dangers of you seeing organizations that are running where the CEOs are just focused on the urgent, focused on just the now, and not really focused on that future?
Well, somebody else will focus on the future and they will eat you alive. That's that simple.
Okay.
Simple, because it will happen. It just will happen. It just will happen. That's it. You must be with the market. You must must understand the market. You must understand what they're thinking. There's some. There is, for example, I mean, and watch out what you hear and what is the talk. Sometimes watch out what it really says. For example, right now everybody is talking about the millennials, as if they were a huge threat. So I have to say, wow, I better understand what are the millennials really. Now I go for a survey. Now I want to know facts, because they talk millennials. How they, I mean, as if they were attacking you with guns. As it turns out, the number one change, there's some major change. Millennials say, do it my way. Do it my way. That's what they're saying. oh, wow, I better be prepared for individualization now. I better not standardize. I better get ready to individualize, because the millennials will come in and say, I want my hamburger number one, or whatever the hamburger is, but I want it with 2 slices of tomatoes and a half a slice of pickle, and they want to individualize. That's what's happening. Well, I have to understand that as a leader. That is what they're saying, really. They're saying, do it my way. That means pretty soon, guess what? The only customers you have are millennials. And if you're not ready to serve them the way they want to be served, you are going to be out of business. That's what I mean. Now, the interesting thing about it, and this is totally fascinating, by the way, since we talk about millennials, the market as a whole says, I'm willing to pay more for your product, even if I can get the same product for less. If you give me good service and good attention, then I'm willing to pay more for your product, even if I can get the same product for less. I'm willing to pay more for you if you give me great service and attention. 70% of the market says that, but the millennials, 80% said, if you take care of me the way I want it, and you individualize, I'm willing to pay more. Now, if I don't know those things, how can I prepare for it? That's why a leader has to look into the future.
Well, we've been talking about being a visionary leader here. There's a lot of stuff that gets in the way, which you talked about, the fires. It feels good to put them out. But I'd also like to ask you this. When you get that right balance of managing the day-to-day and leading the people, inspiring them, and feeling that visionary, what are the things that you aspire to next? What comes after visionary in your world?
Well, first you can see it, and then you have to commit yourself to it. That is the model. First, high intent. Establish high intent, what you want to do. Again, excellence is never an accident. Never. It's always the result of high intent. So you have to know where you're going, and then set your intent there, your vision there, and then commit to it, and then apply the steps that it takes to get to that intent. Then it takes processing, understand. Then it takes to understand, what is it that I have to do for the market in order to reach that intent, and then create processes around it and manage them. Now that's management. Now that's managing. Now, first the leader established the vision, the high intent, and sees where it is going to be. And now you have to become a manager too, and be sure that your organization creates the understanding, the processes, the measurements, the systems, to be sure you're doing what has to be done to get there.
Horst, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the Growth Think Tank. Once again, thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Gene, it's great to be with you. Thank you very much. God bless.
Another fantastic interview here on Growth Think Tank. Hopefully you took some notes. I took notes. I was scribbling away. I've got probably 3 pages of notes in just a short period of time with Horst. Some of the things that Horst shared today were some things that I already knew, but some of the things were new to me. And one reason why I do these interviews is so I can tune in to visionary leaders like Horst and others out there and really understand how they think, how they see the world. Some of the things that I don't have awareness to, because we've got to fill in these blind spots. We all have blind spots. And the thing about filling them in is it takes outside perspective and some trigger to help you see what you don't see right now. One of the things I'm best at as an executive coach is having the kind of conversations with leaders that want to go to that next level, be visionary leaders, and really create the space for them to think and create the vision that they can see so perfectly, but how to inspire others along that journey. My job as an executive coach is to help you see your blind spots, help you see what's next, help you get more confident and clarity around exactly what to do next. So if you want to have that conversation with me, make sure you go to my website, genehammett.com. You can find plenty of free resources, but you can also register for a call. Just go to Start Your Journey, and I'd love to chat with you about what's next for you. Just go to genehammett.com and go to find Start Your Journey. This wraps up an incredible episode of Other Visionary Leaders. Stay tuned for more coming on the show. When you think of growth and you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.